Good evening. We'll call to order the Monday, October the 23rd meeting of the Corte Madera Parks and Recreation Commission. Please stand and salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rebecca, will you please do roll call?
I just told the audio sounds good. Commissioner Elson. Here. Commissioner Kenneth.
Here.
Commissioner Bodeman is absent. Commissioner Rose.
Here.
Vice Chair Charlie. Good evening. And Chair Miles.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we start with the items on our agenda, we will open for public comment. There is no one in the audience today. Rebecca, is there anyone with raised hands online or any email public comment?
Give me a moment. I did not have the public comment email open. But I do not see any raised hands, and if you can pause for 20 seconds, I will. Maybe I can suggest we continue with the agenda, and if we have public comments,
We can reopen it.
we'll reopen it.
Okay, so we'll close.
I didn't see anyone. I checked earlier.
We'll close public comment at this time and move on to our first presentation, a recap of summer camp provided by Alex Duran Esperanza.
I'll not here, so you get me.
Oh, no.
Good evening. Let me share my screen real quick. Yeah, hold on. Sorry, I can't have my glasses and a mask, so I can't really see stuff. Sorry. I hate getting them. There's the. No, I need to start presentation. Right.
It should be.
Sorry for the technical.
Just go to view.
Our slideshow.
And the problem is that when you open it all up, the Zoom bar is covering up. We're gonna right click on it. And
No.
start the presentation.
Oh, gosh, sorry. This can't be this complicated, but it is.
You can probably run it. Not in presenter view. We can see the new slide.
From beginning.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, there we go. Sorry for this. So this evening we're going to talk a little about Camp Corte Madera. This is year 2 of kind of the revision and revamp of kind of the program. We have some basic numbers here of total campers, 130 total campers, 90 total residents, Corte Madera, 20 from Larkspur, and 20 non-residents. In total, we brought in about $41,000 in revenue. We again partnered with the school district to provide that 3-week after school summer program for those kids who were in the targeted group who basically needed care after summer school got out. That was a $16,000 scholarship from the town for those kids to attend. And then we additionally scholarshiped almost $15,000 for kids from the rest of the camp and even after some school was done. The general donation from the Corte Madera Lions Club, the Corte Madera Women's Improvement Club, and the Corte Madera Community Foundation. Normally we wouldn't give this much scholarship out this summer, but when we realized, I took a deep dive that we had never transferred money over to sitting in a scholarship fund for a while. So we were able to scholarship some more kids, which is great. Some kids who got to go to some field trips they'd never been to before. And we were able to scholarship almost every kid through August, which was great. And we still have some money left over for next year. So both adding the scholarship from the school district and from the other foundation, about $32,000 total in scholarships this summer. And then again, the groups have already said, hey, next year, absolutely, we'll sponsor some more kids again for summer camp. And then we still have some money left over in the scholarship fund that we use for summer camps in general. Schedule started June 19th and then in August 11th. A couple options: full day 9 to 5 was $60, half day from 12 to 5 was $50. Then summer school care was kind of 11:30 to 5, which basically that kind of when kids got out, when they got picked up for $42. We realized there was a flaw in our plan. There was that 12 to 1 hour break between when enrichment ended, and there was nothing for those kids to do. So we said, look, we'll just get a free program. We'll get some staff to kind of feed them, play with them, kind of get in between. So they had an opportunity to still not have to be abandoned for an hour, nothing to do. So we put that in. For changes next year, we are going to program so they're back to back, so there's not that gap. Or just have some staff who are dedicated, just hire them early. Say, look, you're going to work. I used to call it lunchtime adventures. We had an hour of basically, hey, go to the bathroom, have your lunch, burn some energy off, and then go back to your next class. Parents really want that full day experience if they can for the summer. Again, what we offer flexibility to choose 50 days of each month. Really, parents really enjoyed that this year to say, hey, I don't need a full week, I only need 2 days a week, I only need 3 days, I only need 1 day a week. Can we do it just for those days? It very much mirrors what we do for the child care program in the school year. Parents would like that flexibility for the summertime also. CIT program, again, a good success this year. We had 9 CITs, 13 to 15-year-olds. Really is a chance to figure out, one, here's an opportunity for experience for a real job. And 2, for us to interview people in the real workforce, say, hey, we want you to come on board. Are you around the school year? Can we work on your sports kids? Can we work on whatever? We have opportunities in both summer camp, in childcare, and facility attendance or gym monitoring. And we get a lot of our staff from that way. So that's a big deal to kind of vet those kids out. And a lot of those kids are kids who've been in our program before, which is always nice to see them go to the program and they can come to us to get the kind of first work opportunity. We are on the Eagle Commons campus, which is a huge convenience for those people who are in summer school. We brought field trips back this year and we went swimming every Wednesday at the Redwood pool. So kids obviously love to get up and go to field trips, go to the pool. And then we'll talk about kind of next year, but those are 2 big things that kids look forward to: going swimming and going to different field trips. Daily structure is kind of how our days planned out, kind of 9 to 10, kind of free play, because if kids aren't awake in the morning, they're not ready to go. We get it. 10 to 11 first activity, 11 to 11:30 playground, 11:30 summer school gets out. Lunches are reserved 11:30 to 1, and then back-to-back activities for an hour, and then snack, playground, and then kind of free play depending on who's still here, who's come home. We really utilize every bit of that campus, also both the playground, the gym, the fields. That park is very busy, and we understand that. We use it to its full capacity to have those kids active as much as we can all day in the summertime. Field trips this year, we went to Scandia, we went to Rebounders, we went to A&F Bowling, Epicenter, and Cal Skate. I think, I'm not sure what the kids' favorite trip was, but I think everybody was enjoying it. I mean, it's almost right at passion. You get to ride in a bus, go with some of their friends, and have a camp t-shirt, and kind of do that kind of fun stuff. And I think our leaders were a little hesitant at first this year, but they kind of quickly got comfortable. It's like, we can do this. It's not that hard, just the kind of fear of unknown, but it's like bringing it back and bringing field trips back to the camp. And then they had 2 special days in the same day at Camp Olympics, and they had a penny carnival. The carnival pictures are on the right, which kids always enjoy, kind of that competition. They got a fun penny carnival at the end. Takeaways from the second year. The first 2, adjusting daily schedule and implementing theme weeks, kind of go together. Basically thinking, if we're going to go to a theme week, we may not be able to have 3 blocks at camp. We may have a theme week of sports or Harry Potter, or whatever it is. It may change that week. So that's all that is, thinking about, hey, if we do incorporate some themes next year, we may change the schedule a little bit. Second one's really continuing pool days, figuring out if it's not Redwood with some aquatics, where else is it? Kids really enjoyed that pool. We really enjoy getting out. They walked to the pool. It wasn't that far of a walk. I think kids were excited to go there and then a little sluggish coming home because they're tired, but they definitely enjoyed it, and staff definitely enjoyed it. And then again, the revamp the CIT program, where they really got a experience of a full-time job and kind of experience, and something where they learned things from it and kind of got that experience and wanted to be back. And then we kind of hired this year, found a great staff member who was kind of in charge of field trips and events. She loved it. She was great. She really connected with kids, really had that eye for, okay, what am I need to worry about when I'm going here, and then shared with staff. It's helpful. She was a college student, had some more experience and had that different kind of lens. But definitely having that person where, hey, you're going to be in charge of all these, the penny carnival or the activities, and you're going on the field trips, to kind of sort all that out. So that was a huge thing to have again for this year, but next year going forward, kind of that field trip event coordinator. And then also went on the summertime specialty camps, everything from kindergarten readiness to Camp Catalyst to skateboarding to Lego, obviously all the other contract camps we had, about 374 students total. You can kind of see when summer school is enrolled, number kind of goes up. Week before the July is kind of a weird week because people go on vacation, totally get. people come back for summer school, and then when school starts, it's kind of all over the board. But those are the camps we had, both Neil Cummings and Cope this summer, who were contract classes that kind of supplemented our Camp Corte Madera program. And that's all I have. Questions?
So we'll open up to questions from the commission before we go to public comment.
I have a question, Tim, for the scholarship that you mentioned in the first slide. Did every child who applied for scholarship receive it, or were there some who did not?
Everyone got some portion of scholarship. Some were getting full, some were getting a percentage. Everyone at least got some scholarships. The other thing we really started working with the Marin Child Care Council, say, look, they have an opportunity for people who maybe don't meet our needs or max out our capacity, they can get funding there too. And we're working with them for the school year also. So there are avenues we can say, hey, here's an opportunity. We've worked with them, I think, the last 3 or 4 summers. Basically, you can still come in.
I think that's such an important service that we provide, and it's fantastic to see those numbers and the different local organizations contributing. That's great. I'm so impressed with what you guys did this summer, and clearly the kids had fun, so that's most important.
Amazing. Alex, we'll continue on as far as we know, doing
Yes.
their summer thing. Okay,
Yes.
great. Any other questions before we go to public comment?
I just had one, just out of curiosity, the enrolled numbers, how does that compare with, COVID aside, or, pre-COVID or last year's numbers? Is it about what you expected? Was it a little less, a little
It's
more?
up from last year. I think the difference that we really saw was last year summer school was 4 weeks, this year it was 3 weeks. So when that changes, we definitely have more kids for the 6 when that 4th week they drop off. And honestly, it kind of depends where 4th of July falls, because people kind of take those vacations, they've got a high school or they got an elementary school, then the vacation is. And then this year with Juneteenth was a holiday for the school, but not for us. So we were open, which was big enrollment that day because parents needed somewhere to go. I totally get it. And then that, so it's about the same. I think next year, I think we're gonna have programs, especially camps after when summer school's done. So like, hey, if you really want this camp, let's program it for that way. So Alex, Poe and myself will reevaluate and start planning on where we're starting. We started planning for summer already. It's kind of scary. But looking at after, if the summer school still goes for 3 weeks, planning some stuff afterwards before kids go back to school.
Thank you.
All right, with that, let's open for public comment. Rebecca, is there anyone from the public who has emailed or raised hand?
I am not seeing any raised hands from the 3 online attendees, and in checking the emailed public comment, we did not receive any emailed public comments on this item.
All right, bringing it back to the commission for further discussion. I think, Tim, there's one question that's coming up. I know we've got revenue of 94,000. I'm assuming that's the fees collected revenue. Are we breaking even in terms of our costs in the summer program, or no?
We're pretty close. And I think that we've always battled with the fees for the way the camp used to be structured. I think for what we're charging now, we were very close to breaking. I think
Okay.
in years past, we were, from what I read up on, we were losing quite a bit of money. I think this structure works for right now. And we're right where we should be. We're comfortable. So, and I think even if we had to give a few more scholarship way to make camp go or have more kids coming, I think we're okay with that. Looking at the, total capacity here.
It's helpful. Thank you. Any other discussion from the commission?
I would just encourage to maintain the flexibility in the structure. I think that is so, so important for families who are juggling activities, work, multiple children. So that is something that is very unique to this program compared to other camps, and it's a great asset. So I just encourage we keep that.
Absolutely.
And how do you find the CITs?
So we advertise both in our activity guide and send it to the schools directly. And a lot of times it's word of mouth. So like so-and-so may have went to camp before, or we publish it in their local newsletter, is how we find them usually. Or we'll send it to campers who've aged out, say, hey, you've kind of aged out. Would you want to come be a CIT? You're not quite old enough to be a paid staff yet, but would you want to be a CIT?
Do you feel like you're getting enough, or do you need more?
It's the challenge between quality versus quantity. So it's like, if you have a good core of 10, 12, then that's great. And because you have good staff and you rely on them. If you have too many, it kind of weakens it a little bit. I think the first year we had too many, and it really didn't have opportunity for staff to kind of partner up with those CITs to kind of teach them things along the way. So, I mean, you always could use 1 or 2 more, but I think you really want to have good quality CITs who want to be there, not because their parents are making them be there. I mean, I'm going to make my son be there next summer, so he's going. He's going. But I think you want those kids who, really, so we interview them all. We say, why do you want to be here? If it's because your mom filled your application, then it's not really why you want to be here. It's, hey, I want to get back, or if you tell me I want to fill my college application, that's totally fine. But you're taking the initiative to want to be here. and you want to give back, and that's what we're looking for.
Let's move on to the consent calendar. These are items that are routine or have been previously discussed and do not require any further discussion. Any member of the public is welcome to make a comment or pull an item to the consent calendar for further discussion. We'll start by asking if anyone on the commission would like to pull anything from the consent calendar for discussion. No. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the consent calendar? Do we have any raised hands or email public comment?
Thank you, Chair Miles. We did not have any raised hands from the audience members. And we did not receive any emailed public comments.
Great.
And just to circle back on the earlier question about public comments for general open time, we did not receive any emailed public comments for open time.
Thank you. With that, we'll bring it back to the commission for a possible motion. Would anyone like to move to approve the minutes from the August 28th commission meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes from the August 28th commission meeting.
Do we have a second? Excellent. Rebecca, can we get a vote, please?
Commissioner Elson,
Abstain?
Commissioner Kennick,
Yes.
Commissioner Budeman is absent. Commissioner Rose,
Yes.
Vice Chair Charlie,
Yes.
and Chair Miles.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to our business items. Discussion of the action plan for engagement of seniors in the Corte Madera community. Tim, do you have any thoughts before we begin discussion?
No, I think this is really an opportunity for to have an open discussion about senior programming in general. I think that it came up at the last, the August or the July, it might
It was
be,
the August.
okay, the August, thank you. The August meeting of how do we engage seniors both on the commission and how do we engage seniors in the community. I think we want to bring this to say, you know, we kind of had some ideas and I met with Patty Stiller and said some ideas, but I want to talk to you guys and say, okay, what are we missing? Like we kind of threw out some ideas of how to collaborate and kind of reach out, but are there other ways that we're missing to engage seniors to be a more active part in the community? Is it that, is it more meetings? Is it more surveys? Is it more face-to-face? Is it Rebecca was talking about coffee with a park director, just kind of meet and greet kind of thing to get people involved? So I think that's kind of the purpose of the staff report. And basically that kind of the discussion versus we kind of throw out some ideas. One, kind of collaborating with A-Trend and Corte Madera. They were a long-standing organization community, well connected to seniors. They take a lot of our programs already. They're part of the Women's Club, part of the Lions Club. Let's really connect with them and say, you're out there in the community, what are we missing? Or what would people want to sign up for? It's kind of, I kind of think about program for seniors like program for teens. Like if we program, are you going to show up? They both can be very fickle and very challenging, let's just say. But if we program it, would you come? And then kind of community service, like what do you want to see on a small level? Like we program these 3 events, which one of these would you come to? And then just kind of reach out and doing the legwork, get some meeting with these groups, the face-to-face meetings. I mean, we kind of, you know, during COVID couldn't do that, couldn't kind of meet and greet with people and find out what they wanted to see. Now we have the opportunity where, you know, COVID is hopefully not as bad as it was. I'm not going to shut down again, but say, hey groups, what do you want to see programmed so that when we plan, you know, we plan 6 to 8 months ahead of time to say, hey, what did you want to see this summer? Would you attend a outdoor concert if we put it on? Would you attend a senior movie series if we put it on? Those kind of things. And then really kind of get those groups together and say, we want to program for what you want. Your tools help us, give us some ideas and kind of program from there. So I think that's what we're kind of looking for, to have an open discussion. Any of the suggestions or ideas to kind of get the word out and connect those seniors in the community.
Then hopefully there's this nexus of people being excited and enthusiastic about the programming that's coming down through the pipeline. And then because it was, you know, came from their recommendations. So then they would then go out and tell 10 friends or bring their neighbors and we would grow the programs organically.
And I'm assuming we have a pretty good sense of what of our senior programs are working well today and the most attended. So kind of we have that at least baseline to start from.
We do. We have, like, for example, we just got a brand new trainer instructor because our last instructor retired, and the new instructor has had 25 people every week, which is a great new enrollment. And it's like people are loving it. She's just a new instructor. They've been 2 days a week. They come in to yoga. But I think there's still more activities that could be offered. I think we need to make sure that whatever we program is appropriate for the facility that works for them. Because the rec center is a big facility. If you have a small little bridge class, it's kind of hard, or a small monitoring class might be kind of hard. But how do we get, you know, going forward, how do we get creative and look for other places to program those small areas, which I like.
And I feel like this also came up as part of the master planning. Like whether there were facilities that we were either including or not including, kind of as part of the master plan, whether that was pickleball or bocce ball or whatever those activities that we needed to serve as well. So I feel like when we talk to the seniors, just to make sure it's not just about programming classes.
I think it was both the social aspect and then the kind of the program and facility aspect. I think one of those discussions was there's no dedicated senior center. Well, currently there's a facility challenge, there just isn't a space. Now, if that ever changes and we can have a facility where there's a senior program in the morning and a youth program in the afternoon, that would make the most sense. A lot of facilities do. Or you have a shared space in the morning where you have a jazzercise class, and you have another activity in the afternoon, something where there's some shared space. But yes, definitely out of the facility master plan came, you know, with people.
Just more space.
Right, yeah, there was two bocce clubs, would they regularly play every week? I don't know. If there was you'd say more pickleball, where there are more pickleball, of course, people go play more pickleball. Those are things that I've learned.
Okay, so it's more about making sure that we have in our shortage of space, enough space to do enough of the programming. Okay. Any other?
But it sounds like also community outreach to that group to see what their desires are and go from there so that we can better program to meet their needs and their wishes.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think part of it is I'm still in my acting role, so hopefully it'll be resolved soon, but I think when we fill that position, Kara used to be a coordinator, that was part of her job, so we kind of all split it up and taken a piece. I think if we hire back our work coordinator who would have a senior main part of the focus, the programs and that stuff. I mean, we interact with them every day for a senior line chirp bingo or yoga, as we see them all night, we see the same group come in. But it's helpful to have a dedicated person who's there and connects with them and talks on a regular basis.
And we had talked as a commission about having a representative from the senior community as part of this commission, because it sounds like, Tim, you guys are already interacting with our senior community. It's just not as public and obvious to people watching these meetings that Tim is actually doing that work. So I don't know if it's possible as you interact with the community to maybe identify a few people who we might be able to encourage to join us on Mondays.
Correct. It does not necessarily have to be a 2-year term if that is inconvenient for people or if someone is just interested in trying out the role. We would love to have someone interested who may grow into a longer term appointment of 2 years, but we would be more than happy to start off with a shorter appointment if someone was interested in that.
They just have to be a Corte Madera resident.
You have to be a Corte Madera resident. Yeah.
So then, so when I was talking to folks about, wanting to get someone from the senior community on the commission, the term was an issue, and I mentioned that, so it's great to hear that there's a possibility for less. Also, driving at night, so attendance was an issue. If there was an ability to do so remotely would help. And I know that there's rules and regulations about that for a sort of, for a commission in the traditional sense, but I'm wondering if, as Alda mentioned, sort of that advisor, that other role, if there's a possibility to get involvement in that way, because that's a very fair concern. I don't drive, or I don't drive at night, things like that. So I don't know if that's something that we can look at. Also, the attendance issues and quorum, the people with whom I spoke were concerned about committing to something but not being able to fulfill it. And so part of that is addressed by a shorter term potentially. Part of that is also addressed by the fact that if they're not going to thwart a quorum and they're not able to come, there's more flexibility there and they don't feel as badly. So I do like the advisory. I can't remember how we did it with the youth advisor, but if there's something in that way.
We hadn't formalized that yet. We were hoping to get some youth interested in serving in more of an advisory capacity. And then we thought that we might do a youth and a senior advisory role where you could have 3, 5, 7 interested members of those different age demographics and have them serve in advisory capacity and just be more of a sounding board for our Parks and Rec director and staff to run ideas off of, get input from, have them go out to their cohorts out in the community and run things by them and hopefully get good feedback.
Okay. And so, I mean, just to be really clear, I would love to have like a full commissioner. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
relegate anybody to anything less, but it hasn't happened so far.
And that could grow into that.
Yeah.
Just through participation in an advisory committee.
Yeah. Is there then, in order to hopefully extend that offer and get someone to fill that position, do we write something up formal, like, hey, this is all we're expecting, so that we can share about it, talk about it, and advertise it? Like, what was that? What was
The
that?
actual climate action committee is looking at doing something similar for sort of a youth advisory committee. So yes, that was the direction we gave that body was what they would write something up, goals, expectations, how they would interact with the committee, who would be responsible for their work, and basically just what was expected of them. So we could write something up easily and bring that back to the next meeting if that was something that this commission was interested in pursuing.
I, for one,
And-
would very much be.
And then Tim, in his discussions with various groups that he's meeting with, could mention that that's in the process.
Perfect. I know Tim is doing so much right now, both of you are, so I hate to add to the long list you have, but I would be really interested in getting that written up so that we could then move to the next step of really, in a concrete way, inviting people to join.
I think I might have some background to draw on. Great. So it wouldn't be such a heavy lift.
Thanks. Anybody else have thoughts on that for direction?
No, I agree. I think potentially I could see that role evolving into someone getting a taste of it, really enjoying it, figuring out a way in which they can be more involved in a more formal way. Or maybe not, but hopefully I think it gives an avenue for that, a little more flexibility. One other thing I thought about, Tim, in terms of, you mentioned you sort of have your regular chair yoga clients, the regular meals, there's sort of those, in many things, it's always like the people who always come, right? But I wonder if there's a way to incentivize them to, like, it's Bring a Friend Friday or something like that, to sort of reach, to bring one more person into that cohort, and just expand the reach of the community. Because I think we do have a robust amount of options for people, but it's who's using it, right? And so sometimes it's like, oh, maybe they'll bring their friend at least one time, or in some way to just broaden the reach a little bit within the community.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd love to see pairing up with this driving thing. Just hit me as oh, duh, that's the real impediment. But in the city, there's like the Boys and Girls Club, and then there's also like the Big Sisters, Big Brothers, where you work with someone from the senior community and you help, run around on an errand if they couldn't drive or something like that. I mean, there's people out there that I think would want to do something. I just feel like we need to tap into that.
What about the Lions? Is it the Lions?
Did they do that?
One of our organizations does help seniors with,
Right, sure.
Yeah.
and different tasks.
Right.
Lions check.
Yeah.
So Michael does a, I can't think of what the word is called, but they do a day where they go and help them fix certain things in their house or work on projects or something. They do that, yes.
There was talk at one point about setting up the village. Like there's Sausalito Village
Yes.
where, and this was a while ago, about talking about setting it up and extending it to here. This goes back to the intergenerational center. And it sounds like that didn't get traction, but could we set something like that up? Where, if you are coming to a class, can you, if you're willing or available, drive somebody who wouldn't otherwise be able to go.
It's like what we all do with our children.
Yeah.
All the time.
Exactly. So I know Lancher does specific, you've got or a task those days, but I meant sort of to incorporate into the activities on a regular basis, that element in there of being, someone who needs a ride. So exactly, you're exactly right. Exactly what we do with our kids. Like, who's going this way? Have we ever paired, as far as even space, with ages over on the east side? Because I know they seem to have huge areas, open areas, gardens. And sometimes I see folks just, catching some sun out there, but they have a lot of land, it seems. And that's a community that I think is less mobile than some of the ones we're serving, but I don't know. Is that
I don't know, you know, before COVID days.
I don't know, actually, not that I'm aware of. I know that residents from Aegis were invited to our annual celebration of the nonagenarians and centenarians. But
Do you recall how you invited them? Was there like a coordinator? Did you go through the coordinator?
they did.
Alright,
In terms of programming space, if they had space that we could do programming in, that would then get their community into ours. So I don't know if they have rec rooms or spaces where we could do some of our programming and help solve some of that problem. And potentially get more attendees.
yeah. I know they have open area outside for sure during nicer days. I just don't know what the facility's like inside. But as I walk by, you know, most days I see their cafeteria space is pretty like large, sparsely populated. I mean, I don't know. It's just an idea. And I don't think that the folks that are there, not all of them seem to get out as much maybe. So bringing activity to them would be nice.
They may very well have their own private programming, but I do
do.
think it's an idea.
And part of it also is, in my thought is integration, right? Not just something that they do only within, but you know, someone in the senior community that lives on the east side that's a block away from Aegis, that's not actually a resident, you know, isn't there, can go and, I don't know.
It's like a satellite.
Yeah.
And where do we stand with using, is there any available space at Corte Madera Center?
The only space with the dance studio, and that's a challenge to the bathrooms upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So really it's rec center, yeah, it's rec center.
Okay.
I think it's gone now, but there used to be a community room at the mall, not the village, the other one, Town Center, thank you.
They never reopened it.
They never reopened it. So just-
But we can find out if we could be able to access them.
Just in terms of access programming space, and they'd have an elevator and all the things. And now we're in the programming space.
Right.
Any more thoughts on senior engagement with the commission? All right.
Do we have action items or anything specific time to take public comment?
Yep, that's the,
I just want to say, you mentioned, I believe, that the organizations within our community that do have active seniors, that's who you were gonna start, because I know many of the community foundation or it's like a great place to start.
And then I'd also love to get the word out through the various HOAs around town too, because I know there's seniors in my own HOA that would probably benefit from knowing more about what's going on in town.
That's a great idea.
and with that, let's open for public comments.
We do have a raised hand from Patty Stolier.
Hi, Patty.
Good evening. So you mentioned the village. There has been a Twin Cities Village, I believe, since 2017. And that would be a good resource for Tim to reach out to for input about what activities and programs seniors would like to see in Corte Madera. They do have their own activities, but they definitely would want to know about what's available through the rec department.
Thank you, Patty. Do we have any more raised hands or email public comment?
We have no other raised hands. And I believe no email public comment was received on this item.
So we're just do questions, public comments, then discussion. I think we've done a little bit of both, but any more discussion before we close our business item? All right, with that, let's move to staff updates and commissioner reports.
I think that was very, very helpful discussion for guiding staff. Yes.
All right, director's update. We are busy, I think is what I'm gonna say. I thought summer was busy and then I looked at this list and like, yeah, we're busy. First up, Skylight Foundation. Obviously, town council approved the collaboration between the town and Skylight Foundation. We are going to be coming back in December to commission about a possible donor wall and what they're thinking for some type of recognition for people who donate. Currently the town doesn't have a policy on that, so we're gonna bring it back to commission and say, here's what they're kind of thinking, what are our thoughts? The last two, were both the Corte Madera, the Park and Rec Community Center Plaza and the patio was not done by this town, they were done by their foundations. So we don't have a kind of a guiding policy on it. We have something for like moral benches and trees, but not for this kind of stuff. So it'll come back in December as kind of a, hey, here's what we're kind of thinking, what are your guys' thoughts for kind of recognition donors? Summer community events recap. Our last movie was September 15th, was Luca out at Cove Park. I think Steve and myself never saw a movie because we were popping popcorn the whole time, which was great. I mean, we were like, it's already over. Okay, wow. So another good event, probably 300 plus people. PTA was out there. They had a food truck out there. There were, you look on the field, there were glow rings and glow because everywhere. Everybody had a really good time. And it was a good night. It wasn't very cold, which we always worry about coats and get a little windy, but everybody had a good time, which was good to see. And we'll again plan it for next year. And then we had the SF Academy Orchestra out in Town Park on a Sunday. Probably about 50 to 60 people attend. I think next year we'll kind of revamp it a little bit. It was kind of a rough weekend. The kids were off school on a 4-day holiday. There was a holiday and there were a lot of people who were just kind of gone. So I think with some planning next year, it'll be an event where we pick a better week and that works. It was beautiful music. They were very talented. I think we're just going to tweak it next year for a different weekend so it makes more sense. Fall activity guide was probably my saddest news of the meeting was that our printer was not able to produce the guide after several excuses. They basically said we don't have paper or the truck lost a flat tire or printer machine's down. I'm like, I'm done. This is just not the first time I've done this. I was like, you're done. So we were not able to print an actual fall guide. We got our full money back from it. We will put it online. We've already switched to another company for next year. It's like, nope, I'm done. This people count on too much for the activity guide for me not to be able to print it for us. And I was just kind of tired of excuses. Winter spring activity guide. First proof is actually going to be done by staff this week. The first week of December. So we're on schedule to get it out so that people can have it before actual they go on break. And we really have a good kind of schedule now so that we stay on track with our designer and our printer so it gets done. Fall and winter community events. Okay, this is a lot. Prepare yourself. Here we go. Oktoberfest. Sorry. October 14th was amazing. Had some great pretzels there with some spicy mustard. I'm just saying. It was I heard not as large as in the past, but I think it was a good kind of introduction back into Oktoberfest. We as Park and Rec had tattoos, face painting, color station, and cornhole and Connect 4. Families loved it. Kids were up there playing, everybody was really well behaved. There weren't any kids who were out of control. So I think it was a really good family to come back in and realize that it was a good opportunity for us to support Oktoberfest and what was going on. A very large community event. Something where everybody came back on board and really enjoyed it. People dressed up in full gear. It was very, very impressive for Oktoberfest. We'll be in part of it again next year. We had pumpkin carving this last Friday night. We had 80 people show up to carve pumpkins. Commissioner Rose was there with his kids and we had a good time and little messy, but it was okay. We had 4 gutters, so basically power tools and drills, and basically got up pumpkins, say, here you go, clean. It was the best thing ever. They loved it. Kids like, can I have a power drill? I'm like, no. Finger, hair, no, sorry. So that was on the first part of the event. The second part of the event was a wrecking dance that followed it. They had over 113 people clients showed up. 57 community members, 35 volunteers, and 4 staff. So literally we went from flip a pumpkin carving event right into a Halloween dance because it made sense. All the decorations were up. So thankfully to my staff who worked really hard to make that quick switch. We had a staff member, unfortunately, with COVID, we kind of improvised and then kind of everybody stepped in and did it. I was very proud of my staff. We pumpkin that's everywhere. So that was fun. This Saturday is our family Halloween dance. We're sitting at 45 people. The dance is still going to go. So we'll take registration the day of, we'll take registration beforehand. So we're going to really see that. We want these events to go. We saw in pumpkin carving last year, which was about 25 people. It grows every year. So if you do it with low enrollment, it's going to grow every year. So we're looking forward to deciding to that for this Saturday. Celebration Day of the Day with Park and Rec. Day of the Muertos is coming up. If people would like to submit photos to Christina, we will display it again if it is in the rec center. Those need to be here by October 16th, but that's wrong, sorry, by the end of the month. And then she will display it in the recreation center for the event. Giving Tree is coming up again, and we had a great success last year with hanging leaves in the rec center of what people are thankful for. We had them at the front desk for people to fill out. So again, they'll be at the rec center starting November. Drop by, fill it out, we'll hang it for you. Annual warm coat drive again, happening again, taking coats from November through middle December. I think we had like 65 coats last year. We're doing it, which is great. There's a bin up front, come check in, drop it off, and we will donate. Turkey trot, literally back. We had a meeting today, finalizing all the last minute details. I think it's again, Josh decides to kick us off. 8:30 race starts. We're gonna add some elements. You're gonna put a clock timer at the end so people can see how fast it took them to run the race. We're gonna have some balloon machine, a bubble machine at the end. People kind of celebrate as they go back. And then again, having treats afterwards, working with the Community Foundation Women's Club to have treats afterwards for Truck or Trot. Corte Art Invitation, again, coming in December. We have lots going on. Third annual, again, we will work with our watercolor teacher and with the Painted Bins project display, the youth art that will go into compost bins, like we did last year. I have two openings, one opening and one closing. Opening is December 2nd, and the closing is December 14th. More information to follow, but basically, if somebody's interested, they can submit their work through me and we get them in the art show. Sorry, I told you we had this. Anything I missed? Oh, gingerbread house decorating is coming December too. Can't forget about that. Sorry, that's another event. Gingerbread house decorating is coming. Another event that is coming in December. Okay, good. Childcare program again. Numbers through the roof. Their Wednesday day, which is their early out day, they had to almost have 65 kids on Wednesdays. It's their biggest day, obviously because parents need it. And we have still a huge number of kindergartners who have that early out and bit care. So Wednesday's our biggest day. It's also our most moving parts, and Alex and Poe doing an amazing job getting kids where they need to go. If it's tennis, if it's soccer, if it's dance, whatever else, they've got a system down that you can me sometimes, but they got it down, and I'm super appreciative of that. After enrichment classes, the winter spring menu was sent off to the printer today, so it's already getting printed and ready to go. Registration opens November 17th. Last three is scholarship program is going to come back in December for kind of the annual review. We've learned a lot this year, things we need to tweak overall. When we first had it last year, so it'll come back to commission in December and kind of say, here's some things I'd like to change going forward. Overall, we've used pretty much most of our money for this year already. In the mid-year budget, I am going to ask for some more scholarship money for the rest of the school year for kids who are mostly in, the request we're getting is mostly childcare, some after school enrichment, and a little bit of soccer, but those are the three large ones we get on a regular basis. And we still only have our one adult scholarship who we were able to get some extra money to give her for the rest of the year for her Wednesday class. She was super happy. Parks and Rec Facility Master Plan, Town Council had their first look at it on October 17th. It was really much of a workshop to kind of look at. They hadn't seen it since April, so it was quite a long lag between where it was, what they saw now. Really focus on the action plan of where these priorities fall for near term, midterm, long term as funding allows. They were very complimentary of all the work Park and Rec Commission had done, all the work the consultants had done, the staff had done, and that it was really a good detailed document that we were going to use. And I kind of said to them, like, I don't want a dust collector. I want something that's actually to be used going forward. We talk about CIP stuff for the next 5 to 10 years. And that was the sense from council, was they really appreciated all the hard work put into it, and all the public outreach that had done. The question most that came up was, what's the next step? How's that going to work? And that was absolutely a great question. We are going to go back to council in November 7th and kind of talk about things we can tick off this year, kind of those low hanging fruit, those near term items that we have funding for now that we're going to kind of approve, kind of tick off. And then we're going to come back to commission annually to review the document and say, hey, what do you guys want to bring forward as the near term that we can kind of produce and that we can accomplish, bring it to the council level, and then the goal setting saying, hey, this is what commission really thinks we need to improve in facilities overall. Can we fund it? Can we get it done? How to pull in the work plan so that it's realistic? So we will be coming back and looking at the document on a regular basis to say, which of these can we accomplish and what are most important to commission and people, which is good. Again, for the master plan. It was a long meeting, but
just I wanted to let you know that the discussion that this commission had in reviewing the document really helped guide our communication of the document and how to present to council and how to present it to the public in a way that made it intelligible and made a lengthy, voluminous document somewhat more easy to explain and digest. So thank you.
I think I really was going to put up the timeline of how it's been almost 3 years this process started, where we were not finally get a document that will be helpful in guiding future.
And then we can hit the ground running, tackling some of these items.
Right. Yeah. And last was Rebecca, myself, and some other departments got a tour of the new town hall. It's really cool. It's really cool. I think that they did an amazing job with natural light, an amazing job of incorporating the trees that were already there. I think the town council chambers is breathtaking. It really is that special. I think it will be used both for meetings and for other type of activities, and hold about 80 people, 70 people. But it's, what was the wood? Sorry, what was the wood they used in the ceiling? They are just going to tell me. That was fir?
That sounds correct.
Okay, good.
It's not my,
Sorry.
the level of understanding.
But soon that was for hardwood floors up top, and then really have on the top level all the customer service needs for anybody in the community. So it really flows.
Vaulted ceilings,
Vaulted.
open,
A lot of windows, a lot of natural light.
some great public art in there.
There's maybe there's it is really and still slotted open in spring of 2024. So we're excited and like to have town hall back close to the rec center because innocent. Right, I think that's all I have in my staff director update.
That's it.
That was the biggest update that I've done.
Yeah, that's
Great.
It's been a busy couple of months.
Yeah, wow, thank you so much, you guys, wow.
Huge. Timothy, the only thing I would suggest as we think about next fall's activity guide, however we can coordinate with CMFC and like the big programs we've got going on. I think about Oktoberfest and like the park was, it was like there was stuff around the firehouse, there was stuff at Mini Park, there was stuff at Town Park. If we can figure out how to like coordinate each other, kind of be aware of each other in some of these ways, we might be able to make it. It was just a busy day.
It was busy.
Yeah.
It was very good.
And a lot of fun, but I think it's amazing how much we've got going on, and I love it.
That Oktoberfest is fun, and you guys didn't skimp on the tattoos, I think, because
No.
despite rubbing alcohol, I still have 3 ghosts on my right ankle. Yeah, I was at a gala of this last weekend, and I was like dressed up, I'm like, gee Louise, couldn't get them off, so anyway, good job on that.
We found some new stencils for face paint where you just stick it on the face, you color it right in, it looks super professional.
Lots of great stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, will the winter spring activity guide go home with kids from Neil Cummins and Cove and Hall as well, or is it just the after school enrichment guide? I can't remember which.
Just the school menus go home with the kids. Our hope is that the post office gets sent out December 1st, all the activity guides.
Okay,
The activity guides have always been mailed directly to residents.
yeah, okay, all right.
The lack of a printed fall guide, are you guys planning on, like, I feel like you should put something on the marquee sign saying that it won't be coming in the mail this year, like registration and information is online. Just so people, because often getting that in the mail is kind of the
Trigger,
reminder and the prompts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Post on next door for the newsletter.
I know I believe when Erin did a MailChimp direct out, she said something that wasn't gonna be in there, but to look for the guide. The guide was actually online, but it wasn't being a printed copy. But people are so used to that printed copy, it's just, yeah. Yeah.
All right, commissioner reports.
Yeah, so the September one, I think, Tim sort of said what needed to be said about the Scotty Lap Foundation, skate park, so I don't think there's really anything else for me to report. Memory serves.
Okay, great. Sarah, do you want to?
Yeah, so I was assigned October right before my leave of absence and then forgot that I was assigned October.
No worries,
So-
I was there.
Oh, good. I knew that.
It was 3.5 hours. It was longer than that, 3.5 hours, and then our part was done. So it was Tim, and the, folks from Mac 5 and our consultants presented, the master plan. There was a lot of kind of similar to the discussion we had had about how do we take all this information and make an action plan from that, and kind of what's the process going forward. So it will come back to us as a commission to make a recommendation back to council as to what from this beautiful master plan list do we really want to tackle now and later. And so we will need to come up with a strategy for figuring out how to do that. What is our framework for making decisions about what things we recommend and what things we don't? And we will have a little bit of a chicken and egg between what do we ask for, how much money are we gonna get? I'm imagining kind of, because the budget's not set. This is in advance of setting a budget. So we were likely to have maybe a small ask and a big ask or something of that size. Are we gonna talk about it, Tim, at the next town council meeting? Will it be the November meeting?
It will be the November meeting, yes.
We'll have a more robust discussion about that, and timelines of when budgets happen, which I think is January, February. I think that's the TLDR on that. The Executive Advisory Committee did not meet. Do we have any individual commissioner updates?
I would like to say, I know an adult who's gotten a scholarship through the department, and that it is very impactful in that individual's life. This is something that otherwise they would not be able to afford and attend. And it has done a lot for their overall well-being and social engagement and physical well-being. And so just to know that, like, you know, for us to know that these scholarships really are making a difference in people's lives. And then the person told me that they used up their scholarship and kind of let us know, and that Tim was able to extend it and give them more. That it was absolutely a great thing to do, and I really appreciate it.
She greets me every Monday, Wednesday.
That's great. Thank you. Any other updates? All right. Are there any routine other matters, any potential future agenda items that we would like to add to a future agenda? We have no meeting in November, so our next one will be the December 4th, where we'll be talking about master plan. Isn't officially on here.
Yeah, so that.
It's a robust meeting. It's a robust
Tim
meeting.
does have a lot of draft agenda items for that, so it may be a good long discussion meeting.
Cool.
Maybe not for this next meeting, but one question I get a lot from the community is, you know, we obviously lost a lot of trees in the park. And what is the plan for trying to replant and replace some of them?
The plan is in the master plan. That was one of the things Adam Wolf wanted added before the plan was finalized, was to have a tree replanting recommendation, a plan for tree planting, and possibly engaging with an arborist or a landscape professional to weigh in on trees that are appropriate for parks. And this was just specific to the picnic area where the trees were lost. But aside from that, a general town-wide public space, park space, tree planting plan as well, with the same idea in mind, that they look toward trees that are appropriate for parks. So that will be, I don't know where that slots into what will be discussed, but I know it is an immediate need for planning for the repurposing of that space and replanting of that space. So, yeah.
So it sounds like a December meeting might be a big one, but I definitely think the master plan has to be on that, because we're shooting for any sort of budgeting for January. I mean, you're gonna need to be able to hit is the intention that we hit the ground and resolve some things in that meeting to then be sent and presented to town council in January?
No, not necessarily. It depends on what it is that we want to discuss. The other thing is that our budgeting process is usually, we start discussing the budget in April, March even. So we could also discuss other things in January as well. We planning on discussing all of the items, or just the current $400,000?
I think the plan would be is to take to council on the 7th, kind of the $400,000. There's $400,000 set aside for this year in that stuff. So I think it was to bring to council, here are the things we're gonna discuss to get accomplished this fiscal year. Bring that to you in December, like, here's what we're starting with, so we can kind of cross those off that list and say, okay, in January, February, we come back to kind of meet the next year. What are things we want to elevate, or what are things we want to identify to say, hey, we did this last year, what do we want to do this year?
So you're talking about fiscal year, not calendar year.
Correct.
So,
The commission just has to talk about it early enough to get it on the town's fiscal year
and
budget cycle,
what
but
would
also to
be-
talk about it in when the town has their strategic work planning session.
so what's our time frame for that, for this fiscal year? Or when do we need to discuss it in order to give them enough time? Because we just don't want to miss that window.
We have not set a date for the strategic planning process yet, though, but you could always ask to have the January meeting a week earlier to make sure that we talk with the commission before bringing it to the work plan session. The December 4th date would be when your next meeting is, the one that's split between November and December. We try to talk about other items to slot into 24, 25 at that point. A lot of the 400,000, the plan was to discuss with the commission what staff has identified as being the easiest to attain in a short period of time, like immediately getting to work on all the identified ADA deficiencies throughout the park system and the facility system. And some other things.
And the new restroom facility is not part of that 400,000. That's its own
Correct.
budgeted project.
I know we can move like the programming credit report from 2023 to January 2024, so it's one less thing, so it looks like it's very.
That is true.
We can move that next month.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest if there's anything that's already listed that can.
Right.
Is less time sensitive, maybe that gets
Yeah.
punted a little bit,
Yeah.
we can focus on. The funding.
There's one thing that I just wanted to ask. I mean, obviously, we've got quite a backlog of stuff. And I don't know when the right time is for it, but with all of the effort and all the discussion put towards the field conditions, and I mean, I gotta say, I basically live on that field right now, and I'm very thankful for all of the time, energy, blood, sweat, and tears that it took to get that to successful soccer and every other sport that's been using it. I just wonder if it's worth talking about before the start of next soccer season, how everything went, if it was good enough. Are we gonna be, is this an annual thing that we're gonna be going through? What are the field conditions like right now? I mean, did it survive? Did it, I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I just wanted like
Field
some,
improvements are included by the public works director in that $400,000 for this current fiscal year, so we might be able. I don't know if we want to just squeeze in a presentation or just get a written update that we can include in the packet, possibly. There are different ways we can approach updating the commission on that.
I do think though that in line with the amount of communication and outreach that we did receive regarding that one subject, giving a chance soon after the soccer season ends for those same community members to say, hey, thank you, no thank you,
Right.
This was good, this wasn't. I think that's important. I think it's sort of closing the loop with all of their efforts and clearly the town's efforts and the department's efforts.
it's what's fresh in everybody's mind.
Exactly. I think that's very smart.
I mean, just looking at the field, it wasn't green last year. I mean, it wasn't, it was a whole, I mean, it looks green, it looks playable, where there were last year was like, I wouldn't love this. I mean, there was the challenges, and it definitely, it's gone a lot better, but I think absolutely it's like, hey, we've come a long way, but what can we do more? And that kind of will align, I think, with what other work directors kind of plan for this year. We're already talking to coordinators, he's like, when can we shut certain fields down to start closing them off, so we can start doing these things so that it is ready for next fall. So that, we're planning, I mean, these fields, we closed 7 months last year. And that's why it looks the way it's good. I mean, it's still playable now, where last year after a month, you didn't want to play on it, so. But I think there are still more things to do to increase that and get it better. And I think we ask, and I think we all know that the outreach is there, and they will fill that information out. So I think it's worth it.
I think it does sound like RJ has a plan
Yes.
and an approach that he would like to propose going forward. I think some kind of light written statement
Yeah.
for this commission would be helpful, I think, to kind of close the loop there.
Within the context of what staff is presenting about the budget
Yes.
for.
Yeah, I was thinking like how, because I think that there's kind of out of this 400,000, we would need to do it.
Yes.
Starting, it may get started even before our next meeting, I would imagine, but like
It
maybe
depends
late
on-
November,
Yeah. That's a topic.
kind of late November, early December, there might be
I
some.
think soccer season ends the weekend after this commission meeting. We'll just-
Yeah.
I just think making sure with that is a public comment opportunity.
Yeah.
So that we don't have to redirect all of this attention again. Say your piece.
I think also it would be good for us to know, like, I know, Tim, you're in constant communication with the soccer club and the soccer program and like updating us on your, what you guys are working on together and because I think we probably don't understand how much communication
Oh, totally.
has with them and is working with them.
Does that speak like, would you want like an annual report, like in the January, like here's a recap of the last year? No, you don't want a presentation.
No, just.
I mean, is that mostly like here's.
Update, it's an update.
Here's what we did differently, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this is what we feel like we still need to do, maybe to make it better even moving forward.
It's gonna
Because
be
I know a lot of work has gone into it and a lot has changed, but we just it's all behind the scenes and we don't know.
some of it's just a little bit of education on what field maintenance options are and what we've done. Because I know that the town council was like, well, it's now the time that we go big or we do small, like, so I think that there are incremental things we can do to continue to make it feel better, and RJ and his team will have the best assessment of how to think about that. And the timing of when to do those things. I think it's just helping educate everybody on what it means to continue to keep the fields at the level that they are today and continue to improve them. Great.
Also maybe just like, is RJ and his team the folks where, I mean, it's so much better this year, but there's a few spots that have started to develop that are just like muddy pools. Is RJ's team the one that folks go to ask if there's certain things?
Yep.
That's helpful too.
Any more items related to future agenda items? We've beaten up that December meeting bit. Is there any need for an ad hoc committee assignments? And just, I'm looking at you, Tim, do you need support from the commission in an ad hoc subcommittee way to help get you from here to our next commission meeting?
I don't know, let me look at it. The guy said it is, if we want to couple those to 2024, we may not be as meaty of a discussion. But there's gonna be fee discussion, there's gonna be master plan discussion and the scholarship discussion, so maybe, let me look at it.
Okay.
I would thought, so I think the way you pose that, to Tim to see what he might need support is the right way. I would throw out there that my sense is that there should be maybe, especially since we've got no November meeting, an ad hoc committee meeting to at least start thinking about the structure for master plan. Right, like this next translating what we have into an action plan with this chicken or egg thing we've got going on, like maybe just sort of trying to put down some outlines to help guide the discussion, I think might help it be more fruitful in December.
Maybe after the council meeting in November.
Yeah, I think we should not complicate it, like use the stuff that you're already doing, that I identified. And then, yes, I know but you guys do what you do.
So want to really invite you to just
Yeah.
hang us on that one. That seems like something that we could help with. You come up with other things, fair enough, but that one seems like really we could help out some.
And while we're here, let's go ahead and assign who will be Tim's people when he raises the white flag that he needs help with master plan. Is there people that are particularly interested in helping come up with the framework for master plan decision making? I'm happy to be one of them.
I can help out.
Would like to say it totally depends on
when.
yes, I'm sorry, that's true. It's a little bit between now and December, I mean, it's like the schedule's work,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe we think about two of us three, like we'll
Maybe.
ping back and forth
Okay.
depending on what we can do or something.
Don't want anyone to feel left out.
Yeah.
But no.
And how many, are there, given our small number on the commission, what is the number in which we can meet Three.
Three.
So anyone else?
All right, so we have a trio here,
Maybe.
maybe,
Maybe.
we have a duo, maybe
If you need
trio.
someone
Let
else,
it be in the
I'll be
record.
glad- I'll be back.
Yeah, we have a backup for our
We have a
trio.
Jenna said absolutely is what I heard, right? Any day, is that what you said?
So unlikely, but I will try.
Any items for yearly review to discuss? All right. So you're up for December town
For
council.
November.
No, sorry, November town
Yes.
council, correct. I am December.
Yes.
If there's nothing else, we can close this meeting. Thank you so much for your attendance.